All right, it's 2025 and the real estate market is changing once again. Buyers are finally feeling comfortable enough to re-enter the market and they're starting to relocate. And they're actually relocating to one place in particular from out east, out west, down south, and that's Kelowna, British Columbia. And if you're anything like I was when I was moving out to this area, you're probably wondering, what is Kelowna all about? Well, after living here for now over a decade, I feel like I'm gonna be the perfect person to explain that to you. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the real life experience, pros and cons of what it's like to live in the Okanagan's premier city of Kelowna, British Columbia. So without further ado, let's check it out. All right, so let's first start off what exactly is Kelowna and where is Kelowna? Kelowna is a mid-sized city, just under 250,000 in terms of population, located in the Okanagan Valley of British Columbia. Now, to be a little more specific, you are about 3.5 to 4 hours away from Vancouver and about 6.5 to 7 hours on a good day away from Calgary. Kelowna is the largest of the cities in the Okanagan Valley. You have Penticton down to the south and Vernon to the north, and there are several smaller towns surrounding Kelowna. Now, that's about the quickest overview I could possibly do of Kelowna. If you are interested in learning more about Kelowna itself, I have a ton of videos on my channels for you to go over that get into a lot more in-depth detail. But for now, I want to take you guys through my lived experience, what it's like for someone who's been here for over a decade, and their views after being here a decade of what the pros and cons of living here are. So let's start off at no better place with con number one, and that's going to be the high cost of living. I'm sure you've heard the expression of BC means bring cash, and the Okanagan is no different to that. Kelowna is definitely not the most affordable place to live. The natural beauty and the lifestyle here definitely comes at a cost. Strictly in terms of real estate, when we look at the average cost of all products, that includes townhouses, condos, and single family homes, you can be looking on average to pay around $750,000. And just for a single family home, you're going to be looking at over $1 million. The rental market here is also pretty expensive, especially if you want to be in the downtown area. We have a very low vacancy rate here, which allows the cost of rentals to stay high. But again, this is going to be relative to where you're coming from. It's not comparable to downtown Vancouver or downtown Toronto, but if you're coming from a small town and you're looking just to rent here, it's not the cheapest place you're going to find in Canada. But having said that, everywhere in Canada has gotten more expensive. I know as of right now in 2025, inflation is starting to go down, but you know, we pay on average right now in the last couple months $1.60, I would say, per liter of gas. If you're going out to a restaurant here on the low end, even for like a lunch, I feel like you're paying around $50. Groceries, although maybe a little more expensive in BC, are kind of just expensive in general. But yeah, overall, I would say this is one of the biggest cons of coming here. It's a higher cost of living. It's not specific to Kelowna. I think it's more specific to BC. But again, if you want to come out west, you want to live in a beautiful area, it does come at a bit of a cost. I do think that is totally worth it, but that decision will have to be up to you. And that's going to bring us directly over to pro number one, and that's going to be the real estate here. Because although the real estate on average is incredibly expensive, I do feel like there is absolutely something for everyone here. Not just in terms of lifestyle, but even in terms of real estate product. We have new and old condos, same as townhouses and single family homes. We have a ton of different styles of single family homes, from custom to Tuscan to West Coast contemporary to modern to small little character homes to homes on acreages to farmland to estate and even lakefront properties. And of course, we have mobile homes. Here we have leasehold and freehold land. And with that variety of product we have here comes the different lifestyles. Do you want to be downtown in a high-rise condo to feel that urban environment, or do you want to be in Southeast Kelowna on a sprawling acreage or farmland and really get that country feel while having access to all the urban amenities? I do feel like we have an exceptional variety of real estate here, and that really lends itself to people being able to more or less pick what real estate matches their lifestyle. And the beauty is the Okanagan itself is pretty small, especially compared to major metropolis areas. So if Kelowna is not exactly your bag, you have Lake Country, Vernon, Predator Ridge to the north, you have West Kelowna, Peachland, Summerland, Oliver, Osoyoos to the south. So you're not confined to this one area, and you're gonna find something that suits you perfectly. But now let's move on to con number two, and that's gonna be the homelessness and addiction issue we have in Kelowna. So again, this is not something that's unique to Kelowna. It's kind of unique to realistically any city. Maybe Kelowna is a little higher on the list in terms of its homeless and addiction population because of some of the benefits here in terms of favorable climate, because it allows people to live in an environment year round in a place where they're not going to be housed and still survive, which isn't possible in a lot of places across Canada. Now, if you've seen my other videos talking about this, yes, we definitely have an issue. I think North America in general has an issue with unhoused people and mental health and addictions. And Kelowna is no different. We have our major mental health and addictions resources downtown with a small strip of what we call Tent City here, which a lot of the unhoused population is located in. And yeah, it's really unfortunate to see. I can't really make light of it because it's a sad situation. It's not comparable really to like an East Hastings if you're from Vancouver area, but it's still very apparent, it's present. And yeah, I would say it lends itself to a higher crime rate in certain areas. I think it's completely avoidable if you don't want to be located near that or affected by that. I don't feel the fallout from that where I live in the Upper Mission, so you can definitely isolate yourself from that. Speaking as someone who's worked in that field, boots on the ground, working with this type of clientele day in, day out, I know how difficult it can be and the fact that there is no easy solution. So it's definitely something that impacts our city like every other major city. There's no quick solution, and it's just kind of a part of the lifestyle here. You have to be aware of that. I think it's important, but I also do not think it's the biggest deterrent. And again, it's not something unique to Kelowna. You go to Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, tons of places in southern Ontario, you're going to be dealing with the same thing. In some of those places, definitely on a much larger scale. Which brings us to pro number 2, and I kind of touched on that, and that is our favorable climate here. I mean, if you're talking about weather in terms of Canada, Kelowna and the Okanagan has to be up there, at least the top 3 for best weather in Canada. I mean, this year alone, we have almost no snow. I mean, this year alone, we still haven't been hit by winter yet. We are just ending our cold snap, you could call it, where we're talking maybe at the worst at night, it was -10, and this has been like a week long. We had a green Christmas, which I mean, I wasn't crazy about, and it's been so incredibly mild. I could be doing outdoor sports all throughout December, most of January. And the beauty that I really love about Kelowna is we have an incredibly late fall and early spring. Realistically, we just have to get through the month of February and we're going to be into our spring with summer just around the corner. I've been outside on Valentine's Day playing tennis in t-shirts and shorts, and I've been swimming in late October. We have these beautiful, incredibly hot, dry summers with an average temperature probably in the low 30s. I mean, we can have some really big hot streaks, which will turn into one of the cons I talk about later. But it really comes down to the winter. I mean, our summers are amazing. You don't have that harsh humidity you get in some areas out east, but the winters here are so incredibly mild. Biggest caveat I have to say about that is, when you're out east, it's incredibly cold, but you get a lot more sunlight. A lot of times, since we are sitting in a valley, that the ceiling, the clouds suck down into the valley and give you this really low hanging ceiling. So a lot of gray days. If you're affected by seasonal affective disorder, that might be a big issue for you, but best solution of all time, hop up to Big White, our ski and snowboard resort. It's 40 minutes away from Kelowna. Catch it on a bluebird day and just soak up the sun and get above the clouds. It's a great fix. I just did that this weekend, and now we're already starting to get sun and longer days. And as you can see, there are a lot of factors that impact what kind of place is going to suit your lifestyle. And every town, city, and neighborhood in the Okanagan has its own unique qualities that are either going to work with your lifestyle or work against your lifestyle. So I think that's a really important thing. If you're planning on buying or moving out or relocating to Kelowna, it's more important to learn the places that aren't going to work for you than to learn the places that are going to work for you. And the best way to do that is going to be to reach out to me. I consider myself a relocation specialist. So if you want to book, down in the description below, a free 30-minute consultation with me, or call me, text me, email me at the information on the screen right now, 7 days a week. I'll be happy to get back to you and answer any questions you might have about moving to this beautiful area. And with that, let's move on to con number 3. And it's probably going to be one of the biggest cons you hear about when moving to the area. And that's going to be the fire season and environmental concerns. That's right. The BC area, northern BC, the Alberta area is known for its seasonal wildfires, and Kelowna is no different. 2 years ago, we were heavily impacted in West Kelowna by wildfires, and years prior to that, we were also devastated by wildfires in the Kelowna side, and it's something we generally have to deal with every year. Now, having said that, last year was a great fire season. I don't think we had any days of really dealing with smoke, and even prior to that, right up until the West Kelowna wildfires, we are also having a great summer. So it can really happen quick. It can happen out of nowhere. It's important to be knowledgeable, be prepared, and there are a ton of apps to stay up to date on where where the wildfires are, to alert you if something is going wrong. And it's really important to have kind of an escape route and plan in case you need to pack up and move quicker than expected. Again, this isn't something unique to Kelowna. It happens all over BC. It happens in Alberta. Obviously, California is dealing with it drastically right now. There are certain things you need to know about, like when you are buying residential real estate here, there's certain clauses you can put in to protect yourself in case of wildfires. And I always preach this, but if you are buying and you firmed up on a property, the earliest you can lock into some sort of insurance, the better, because if you are about to complete on a property and then a wildfire comes and you have nothing to protect yourself in that contract, you could run into some big trouble. So make sure you talk to your realtor. Hopefully it's me, and I will make sure you're fully protected. All right, that moves us on to pro number 3, and that is going to be the natural beauty of Kelowna. You know, I can say this with some pretty stern confidence, is Kelowna in the Okanagan Valley is one of the most, if not the most beautiful place in Canada that I've been to. I still remember, and I've told this story before, when I was kind of unknowingly driving out here to live here, and I came past Vernon, driving into the Okanagan Valley along Kalamauka Lake, and I got butterflies in my stomach. I literally couldn't believe how beautiful it was and how this place existed in Canada without me knowing. Everywhere you look, you're surrounded by incredible lakes, beautiful mountain scenery, lush greens, forests, and there's an endless amount of outdoor activities to partake in. I mean, even with this drone footage, it's hard to really capture the true beauty and essence of Kelowna, but if you make a trip to the Okanagan Valley, you will not be disappointed. Even if it's something that's been on kind of the back of your mind, you're considering moving out here, take a trip here and it'll definitely solidify all the thoughts you had and likely wipe away all the concerns you have, because, you know, with some of these cons that I've already discussed, the beauty of it and how incredible of an area this is definitely overtakes a lot of those cons, in my personal opinion. And that kind of leads us into con number 4. And because of all this natural beauty, because of how incredible the Okanagan Valley is, there is quite a hefty seasonal tourism impact that comes with the territory. You live in paradise, people want to come visit paradise. I'll show you quickly here. The major roadways that get impacted by the tourism are going to be here along Highway 97, the bridge area, and coming into West Kelowna. I mean, try your best to avoid it in the afternoon on a Friday or leaving on a Sunday. Try to avoid the rush hour times if you can. And honestly, it won't be that bad. I know people complain about the traffic and stuff here nonstop, and I'm not saying it doesn't increase and it isn't frustrating at points in the summer, but overall, it's pretty manageable. If you know where to drive, what routes to stay off at certain times, it doesn't impact my life that much. But you know what? It does get busier in the summer. I, for one, you can take that as a pro or a con, because I like the energy that the tourism brings and the events Kelowna has that people partake in. I'm putting this as a con because, you know, a lot of time locals hate the tourism bump. I totally respect that. It's not something I mind. I love the fact that we live in such a place that people actually want to come visit it. So I take it as a pro, but I definitely see how people can see it as a con. Moving on to pro number 4, and that is going to be the endless amount of outdoor activities. I already talked about the natural beauties, but I mean, in terms of activity, Kelowna is one of the, I think it was ranked, I'm sure you can find an article somewhere, being one of the fittest cities in Canada, and it makes sense. I mean, with our long seasons, everyone's outside, everyone's popping their shirts off. You probably want to look good if you're going to live here. And I mean, there's endless amounts of activities, from the mountain biking, the snowboarding, the hiking, the trail running, the water sports, the paddle, the pickleball, the tennis, and everything you can really think of you can do in Kelowna. The nice part is, in terms of Canada, you have a much longer season to do this. I mean, where I'm from back out east, it was like 6 and 6, 6 months of winter, 6 months of kind of summer. Here, you're really looking at 8 months of extended summer, spring type weather, and then a mild winter where you can still do a lot of stuff. And that allows us to just have endless amounts of activities to partake in. So if you're coming here, you have a hobby that you're interested in pursuing or that you already do, I'm sure you can find a group on Facebook or a group here in Kelowna that you can join and really take full control over your hobbies. All right, and last con, number 5, is going to be, again, I'm not here to get political, but I'm just going to call it the government overreach. I mean, BC has an abundance of taxes for not just living, but especially when it comes to my profession, residential real estate. I mean, we have property transfer tax, which I was new to out here. We have speculation and vacancy tax. We have a foreign buyers ban. We have anti-flipping taxes. And I mean, I just talked about it, but we had a provincial ban on short-term Airbnbs. And then Kelowna municipality itself doubled down on the restrictions, pretty much canceling Airbnbs in total, which, you know, hotels are expensive enough. There was no Airbnb. It really affected our tourism here. And I just think if you're buying real estate, you're abiding by the rules, you're getting a proper business license, the government shouldn't be able to come in and tell you what you can and cannot do. I do just feel like there's a lot of government overreach in British Columbia. And I don't feel like I'm being too preachy when I discuss that. It's something I definitely noticed. I'm not saying any other province is that much better, but it's something I definitely noticed from living here. It's not something I'm a fan of. I want to say that's something I hope that gets better, but I mean, they're already starting to reel back some of the short-term Airbnb stuff. So it keeps me hopeful that some of the measures that they put in terms of additional taxes and stuff maybe get reversed in the future. I think that's me being a little too hopeful, but it's something to be aware of when moving here. You know, you got provinces without provincial tax. BC is not one of them. You definitely pay to be here. And lastly, I'm going to end off with pro number 5, and that's going to be the community atmosphere. Now, this is something I feel like has changed in the last decade. When I first moved here, I found it incredibly hard to actually meet people and make friends. And I think the Okanagan and Kelowna actually specifically has gotten much stronger of a community feel. I don't know if it was maybe the impact of COVID, but we have a lot more local spots in terms of restaurants, bars, and pubs. We have a ton of events, and again, year-round events, from Altitudes Festival at Big White. We have Denim on the Diamond. We have the Beer Fest in the summer. We have the Fireside Festival coming here at Redbird Brewery and Pub in a couple weeks. We have the Taste of Kelowna to sample all the local cuisine. So we have all these things that have been growing in this community atmosphere that has really brought people together. It's allowed us to support and experience local. It's allowed us to meet new people. And I think it just makes our community stronger as a whole. And I think that's something that's continuing to grow. I don't feel like it was as strong when I first moved here. So I'm really happy to see this sector of Kelowna and our lifestyle progress. And it's made a beautiful area even more fun to live in. So this is kind of why I updated this for 2025, because I do feel like things have changed, some for the worse in terms of the government overreach, but some for the better, like the community atmosphere. You know, Kelowna is a city, it's a living organism, so it does go through ebbs and flows, things change. And I feel like Kelowna is in a great spot right now, and it's an incredible place to live. But if you're coming out this way, if you're even thinking about it, reach out to me. Let me answer some questions for you. Let me be the person who helps you. I pride myself as a real estate professional and relocation specialist, and I'd be happy to help you out, whether or not you want to click the link in my description to book a free 30-minute consultation, or just reach out to me by text, call, or email at the information on the screen right now. I'd be more than happy to help you out, simplify whatever process you're going through, and be your point of contact for this area, because I'm a huge fan of it and I want to support this area as much as I can. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos on, you know, walkthroughs of Kelowna, the different neighborhoods, the different towns. I have a ton of information on my channel. Again, my name is Boholij, your Okanagan and Kelowna real estate professional and relocation specialist. This is my channel, Living in Kelowna BC, and I will catch you in the next video.